Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue building the United States government, and today we're going to look at one of the things the Anti-Federalists fought very, very hard for, and that is the Bill of Rights. We're going to look at all 10 of them, what they are, and how we still use them today. So what we're going to do, we're going to make it foldable. Take your paper, fold it like this. You're going to end up, cut it so that you have 10 flaps, one for each of the 10 Bill of Rights amendments. We're going to go to the other board. We're going to look at what goes on the inside of your flaps. So you should have, when you open it up, you have two flaps. We're going to put what each amendment was, which right each amendment gives you, and then on the other flap, whether you do it on the left or the right, you'll draw a picture for each amendment. So the First Amendment. The First Amendment is the right to rights. And I don't mean freestyle raps. I mean the right to religion, assembly, petition, press, and speech. Raps. All right, so this is the freedom to practice whatever religion you wish, the right to get together, petition or protest, the right freedom of press. The press has the freedom to publish as they wish, and then your freedom of speech. As we look deeper into these, you're going to see that there are some limits to this. For example, you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. So there are limits to each of these, but these are your basic individual rights. And so the First Amendment is the freedom of raps, religion, assembly, petition, press, and speech. And if I were drawing a picture, I would just pick the three that are easiest for me to draw. So I would just do religion, right? Press, the right to publish what you wish, and then speech. You could just do a speech bubble. All right. So that would be my picture for the First Amendment. The Second Amendment, that is your right to bear arms. Your right to have weapons. Now this comes from the pre-Revolutionary War when King George tried to take weapons from the colonies, just like the First Amendment came from pre-Revolutionary War when King George tried to limit these rights on the people. So the Second Amendment is your right to bear arms, your right to have weapons and defend yourself. And again, you can draw a simple picture. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Nothing crazy. I'm not a great drawer, so I understand. So that is your Second Amendment. The Third Amendment is your right to refuse quartering soldiers. This means that the government can't tell you that you have to let soldiers live in your homes. Again, this is a direct response to the Quartering Act, which was put in place by King George, again, when he sent the British soldiers over here and said that the colonies had to let those soldiers live with them. This is in direct response to that. The Anti-Federalists didn't want the federal government to have the power to place soldiers in various regions and force the people that live there to house them, feed them, care for them, etc. So the Third Amendment keeps the government from being able to put soldiers in your homes. The Fourth Amendment is the right against illegal search and seizure. And again, King George had given soldiers and governors power to search homes without reason and seize anything that he deemed to be illegal, or even if he just wanted it. And so the Fourth Amendment is where search warrants come from. Why you have to go and prove that you have cause and reason to search this home or to search this person or to search a car. You have to prove that you had reason to do so. And a lot of times that is through getting warrants and whatnot. So the Fourth Amendment protects you against illegal searches and seizures. The Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment are the rights of the accused. So these are rights that an accused individual has if they are accused of committing a crime. One is to know the crime they're being charged with. So that's number one. You have to know the crime that you are being charged with. The second one is the right against double jeopardy. And double jeopardy means that if you are taken to trial and found not guilty, they can't just try you again and keep sending you to court for the same case over and over and over again. Once you're found not guilty, that's it. That's their one shot. And they can't bring that same charge up against you unless you committed or accused of committing a different act of that same charge. But for example, if a person is found not guilty of robbing a gas station, they can't be charged with that crime that they were already found not guilty for. And then the third thing is the most famous, and that is self-incrimination. If you hear somebody say, I plead the fifth, that is you have the right to not admit that you committed a crime or to provide evidence of your own guilt. You have the right to do that as well. The right to remain silent, to not accuse yourself, essentially. Amendment 6. The Sixth Amendment gives you the right to a fair and speedy trial. Now, this is one that often you get a lot of debate about. What does speedy mean? What is a speedy trial? Because it's very somewhat kind of vague. But you have the right to a fair trial, a speedy trial, as provided by the Sixth Amendment. The Seventh Amendment is the right to a trial by jury. Of your own peers. So that's why, they send it off, the jury convenes and determines found guilty or not guilty. That is because of the Seventh Amendment. Now, you also have the right to waive a trial by jury and just try to convince the judge. But a lot of times you have better odds with a jury. You only have to convince 1 out of 12 as opposed to convincing 1 out of 1. So, seventh gives you the right to trial by jury of your own peers. Again, this was the Anti-Federalists saying, okay, the people get to decide whether a person that lives with them is guilty of this crime. The government doesn't get to decide if he is convicted of this crime that the government says they committed. Number 8, that is the right against cruel and unusual punishment. Again, kind of vague, because what one person deems cruel and unusual may not be cruel and unusual to another. Essentially, it protects you against torture and other forms of cruel and unusual punishment. You see the Eighth Amendment brought up a lot of times in arguments about the death penalty, certain ways that the death penalty was implemented. it was tried to decide, are they cruel and unusual the way that it is done. The Ninth Amendment, we're going to slide over here. Make sure I have space. The Ninth Amendment says, the Ninth Amendment is there because the Anti-Federalists didn't think that they could get everything stated. They didn't feel like every right had been referenced. And so the Ninth Amendment just says that not all individual rights are listed. So again, you have more rights than are listed within the Bill of Rights. These are just the first 10 that came to mind. And then the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment simply states that power not listed to the federal government goes to the states and people. So again, another one of those things that the Anti-Federalists didn't just want to take the Federalist word for it, that federalism was going to take place and that the federal government and the state government were going to work together. They wanted it put in the Bill of Rights, stated verbatim in this document that power is going to be shared, that the federal government, if there is no federal law or rule against it, that the states get the power to determine how that works, because those two sides are supposed to work together. And again, same idea with the Ninth Amendment. They didn't want just these 8 that were listed to be the only individual rights that humans had. They wanted it to be written that Americans had more than just the rights listed in the Bill of Rights and eventually the Constitution itself. You're going to complete an assignment that deals with the Bill of Rights. And we are going to continue to look at the Bill of Rights. We're going to look at some court cases that deal with all of them. And we're going to continue to build this government as we go along. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Let me know if there's something you don't understand. And as always, have a great day.